Can anybody hear me?
Yes, we can. Louis, looks like the only council member that's not signed in yet is Dave O'Connell.
He just signed in.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes, we're here. We hear you.
Can you hear me,
Yes, we can.
Mayor? Okay,
Yeah, we
thank
can.
you.
Okay, there's David. It's it's just turned 6 o'clock. We'll get started. Call this meeting of the City Council stated session of February 10th, 2021 to order. Please rise for the invocation by Dr. Roger Ruggles, followed by the pledge of the flag.
This evening, as we meet to address the business of the city, provide us with guidance to make wise decisions that are in the best interests of all residents. Let us also keep in mind the struggles of all affected by the pandemic, whether it is health-related, economic, social, or educational. We all have felt the impact. Grant us patience and understanding for all those struggling. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
United States of America,
And to the
and to the
republic
and to
republic
the republic
for which it stands,
for which it stands,
one nation,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
Liberty.
with
liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, Madam Clerk. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
I think she may be frozen.
Oh,
Just give her a second. She just got knocked off.
okay. Well, the roll call shows that everyone is present, so we can move on to the approval of the agenda, but we better wait for her for that.
She's just gonna, Rita's gonna try to call in on her phone as backup.
Okay.
Okay, I think Rita is on. She's gonna have to unmute herself. Rita, you just unmuted yourself for a second, whatever action you did.
Louis,
There we
Yeah.
go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. All of the roll call, all members of council are present. We're going on to the
Thank you, Mayor.
approval. We're going on to the approval of the agenda.
Okay, thank you. I apologize.
It's technical, not a problem.
Okay, Mr. Ettinger for well, did anyone make a motion,
No,
Mayor?
we're gonna make the motion now. I need a motion to approve the
I so
agenda.
move.
So moved by Dr. Ruggles,
Second.
seconded by
Second.
Mr. O'Connell. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Ettinger,
Aye.
Mr. Milan,
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell,
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles,
Aye.
Mrs. Volcano,
Aye.
Mayor Panto,
Aye.
Mr. Brown. Mr.
He's
Brown?
muted.
Aye.
Okay, our
Thank you.
next item is action on the minutes of our January 27th meeting. Is there a motion to approve or any additional
Move.
deletions or corrections?
I move.
Moved by Brown,
Second.
second by Volcano. Roll call.
Mr. Milan,
Abstain.
thank you. Mr. O'Connell,
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles,
Aye.
Mrs. Volcano,
Aye.
Mayor Panto,
Aye.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger.
Aye.
At this time in our meeting, we have public comment on agenda items only. If you'd like to address city council, please use the button at the bottom of the screen to raise your hand. At the end of the meeting, we'll have comments and questions or concerns about the city of Easton on any item not related to the agenda. But this portion of the meeting is just for the agenda. Louis, I see no hands raised for the 9 people that are on the call other than council. We'll move on to the consent agenda. There is none, so we'll move right on to reports of council. I'll accept all. There's no reports to be accepted. Reports of the committee, Finance Committee, Vice Mayor Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no report unless Mark has something.
Okay. Louis, are you giving a finance report tonight?
I'll turn it over to Mark. I mean, I think you may just have a general update.
Okay.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you, Mr. Brown, members of council. As noted during yesterday's committee meeting, the process around closing out 2022 and all the associated inter-year adjustments that are still pending. With that, I felt that the relevance of providing preliminary January numbers at this point was not really worthwhile. As such, I will be providing January results at our next meeting. And at that time, I also hope to provide additional commentary regarding 2020. And on that front, my team and I continue to meet regularly to ensure that we stay on track to deliver a 2020 audit by the summer. A recent note, something that just came in, I think in the last day or so, was our Q4 casino revenue. I just wanted to share that with council. That number came in at about 145,000, which I believe will put us in right around the revised budget that we had for 2020. So, like I said, just one recent highlight. But I will obviously provide additional feedback and details at our next meeting.
Any questions for Mr. Lisinecki?
No.
Did you ever send over November numbers and December numbers? Even November numbers we never got, but even preliminary December numbers?
I will have to double check and see if December numbers were sent. I think we were holding off just with the various, like I said, the various moves between years and closing
Right.
out the year. But I will double check that.
And did November's come across? I think you said a preliminary number, but we didn't meet the second meeting in December.
Okay,
So I believe they weren't sent. I mean, I could be wrong, but I do recall getting a preliminary set, but we didn't get a finalized set for November.
okay. I will make sure to get that out then.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lisinecki. Economic Development Committee, Councilmember Volcano.
I have no report this evening, Mayor.
All right, Planning and Coach Committee, Councilman O'Connell.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Last evening, we had a planning committee meeting at which Tom Jones made a presentation of a proposed ordinance creating a West Ward Conservation District. I'd like to thank Tom Jones for a comprehensive report, and city council members, public participants, and the city solicitor for their thoughtful and insightful comments and questions. This draft ordinance is really a work in progress which needs further consideration and refinement for a possible introduction to council at a future date. And thank you. That's my report.
Thank you, Councilmember O'Connell. Public Safety Committee, Dr. Ruggles.
I have no report tonight.
Okay, Public Works Committee, Councilmember Eddinger.
Mayor, I have no report tonight.
Administration Committee, Councilmember Milan.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no report. However, I'm drafting legislation to hopefully be reviewed. Actually, I might have it for committee in the first meeting in March. And essentially what it is, my thoughts are to create legislation that requires any employee of the city to resign in order to run for office. I think Allentown did something very similar, but I think it kind of introduces potential for ethical issues if we allow people to remain on staff if they plan on running for office. Whether it's city council, whether it's mayor, whether it's county executive, county council, state rep, state senate. I just think it really introduces some issues if we allow them to remain employed in the city. So I plan on having that to committee, maybe just a draft version for committee in our first meeting in March.
Okay, I have my own questions and concerns about that. However, Mr. Solicitor, if you will look at that as it relates to the Hatch Act, which is not covered under this local government. Dr. Ruggles, you also had a point?
I just, when I came on city council, I think I was told that I had to resign from the sewer board.
You had to resign as a member of city council. That is correct.
Right, okay. So I mean, that, at least that component is there, happened to me anyway.
Right. You cannot serve on an authority board or commission if you're a city employee, which as an elected official you are.
Right.
But I would look forward to that and the input that we get from the public or any city employee that may have a concern.
Sure.
Mayor,
Report of this. Go ahead, Mrs. Volcano.
I sit on the Vacant Property Review Committee. Is that considered?
No, Dr. Ruggles was actually was on one of the few boards that actually does get a stipend. And that was the reason. It's you do serve, you serve on that board as the chairman of the Economic Development Committee.
Yeah, okay.
Just like Mr. Milan serves on the pension board.
And I serve on GEDP board too.
Or no, it's Dr. Ruggles now that serves on that. And you serve on GDP. You're actually a representative of city council on those boards. All right, report of city solicitor, Mr. Shear.
Yeah, before I do a report, just a quick comment on the process that Mr. Milan suggests. I mean, I think it's great to hear the words, we're going to discuss it in committee, because it's a great way to just talk about the general ideas, the general concerns, without even getting into specifics. I mean, when you have to resign from city council to run for city council, I mean, you know, so it means everybody be a one-term city council person. It's just so I'm sure there are specific, concerns and thoughts that Mr. Milan has, and it's a great process to talk about it initially without getting into any details. Talk about it philosophically. That's what I'd like to see, even like with the conservation district. To talk about philosophically, what do you do, what is the parameters, and then you move on from there, whether you want it or not. So the committee process is a great way to start. It gives the solicitor's office an idea then of what really has to be researched. But one of the things I wanted to just suggest be kept in the background there, we are a home rule charter. And the home rule charter deals with certain issues that if we're going to change them somehow, we got to be careful to make sure we haven't just added something that the home rule charter really didn't contemplate, because I think this is a type of issue that you would often consider under the charter and not as a separate legislation. But again, that's just something in the background. As far as the city solicitor's report goes, there was an executive session immediately prior to this meeting to discuss personnel matters. And other than the fact that there's a ton of work going on, I have no other report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shear. Yes, there is a lot of work in your office. Appreciate your efforts and Jeremy's efforts. Mayor's report, I'd just like to mention that in case you've been living under a rock, we've had a tremendous week of snow. The crews have done a great job of trying to open up our city and keep it passable for emergency vehicles and the motoring public. It's also been extremely costly. As you know, the city hired 8 private contractors and equipment to help us move the snow, to actually pick it up and remove it from all the neighborhoods, not just the downtown, especially when there was, for example, I know just yesterday I got a report, they did Philadelphia Road and Davis Street because you had to come out into Philadelphia Road in order to be able to see. The sight distance was being blocked by the mountain of snow. So those are the things that we've been dealing with, trying to get everybody open as much as we can. 30 inches of snow is just 24 inches too much. We're hopefully past that. The next couple of weeks, snowstorms are very limited in the size. So we're excited. But this past week, just so you know, and you know, we keep a careful eye on all of our finances. This past week, we probably spent between $250,000 and $300,000. That's a substantial amount of money that cannot be covered. We are going to make a substantial financial report to City Council in 2 weeks. We'll have the final numbers for the snow at that time, and how we expect to close this gap. Obviously, we did not. We budgeted $60,000 for snow removal, and we're well over $300,000 for outside contractors. So you'll be hearing also, along with that, with such a major storm, if you've ever plowed snow, you know that once you get that much snow, it takes the equipment takes a beating, and our mechanics are working to get all the equipment back in running order. But I can tell you that we have a number of trucks that are down. At one point, we had 6 down. So that's something we will also be looking at over the next couple of days. Lastly, under my report, before I introduce Mr. Campos for his report, we did get our bids in for the parking garage, and in 2 weeks, we hope to make a presentation to City Council. And the financing, of course, you know, is between the sale of the Boyd Theater lot for $1.3 million, the $2 million state RACP that we got, and the obviously the loan that we've taken out to pay for it. But the lawyers are still going over the bids, and the engineers are going over the bids, and we have some good, I would say, some real strong investigation going into both of the finalists. Both are contractors that would have never done work for the city. Both are contractors that are well-versed in public bidding process. So we'll be looking at both of them and their references, et cetera, their past work experience before making a final decision. They are between, on a $15 million garage, they're $200,000 apart. So we have to look at the alternates. We have to look at the cost, the unit cost, and make a final decision. And that final decision will be made and reviewed by our lawyers, and then it'll be presented to City Council in 2 weeks. But we're not excited that they came in around what we thought they would come around, but they didn't come in on a lot more. So we are excited to get the project started. Our goal is to get the project let in April so that we can start ordering all of the precast concrete. That it takes 12 months. We're hoping that 12 months is actually only 9 or 10. And we're hoping to have this garage open by the spring of 2022, coinciding with the opening of the Seville, which they're looking at a February, March opening. we're looking at getting this garage done hopefully by March or April. So that is the outcome. We'll have more to report in 2 weeks. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Louis for his city administrator's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just touch base on a couple additional items. As the Solicitor Shear had mentioned, we talked about a couple of personnel items during the executive session. In addition to that, just an update that shortly over the next 30 or 60 days, we should have the consultant study completed on our fire apparatus. In general, just expect additional recommendations to come from the administration for potentially purchasing vehicles and replacing some other vehicles. That's all I have, Mayor, for now.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving right along to there's no correspondence. Unfinished business, Madam Clerk.
We had a ordinance being introduced by Mayor Panto, and it would amend the non-uniform pension plan. And actually, it's just amending the dates. We're still keeping PMRS to administer the plan. That was introduced by Mayor Panto.
So moved. Moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Moved. Seconded by Volcano. Questions or comments, concerns? Roll call.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mr. Milan?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell? Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Volcano?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Mr. Shear, I serve on the PMRS Board of Directors. Is there any conflict there?
No, I think that's fine.
I don't get any compensation for it. So the Mayor, Madam Clerk, aye.
Okay, thank you. And then Mr. Brown?
Aye.
The next item we have is a resolution also being introduced by Mayor Panto, which would review and approve an agreement. It's actually with Utility Services Partners Private Label, doing business as Service Line Warranties of America, but it is a subsidiary of the Home Serve USA Corporation.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Ashley from Home Service is here from Utility Line Services. Any questions for Ashley, or Ashley, would you like to make any comments?
Yeah, I don't think I have any. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer those for anyone, but we'd love to serve the residents there.
We appreciate you coming on 2 weeks ago and telling us all about it. It's a program that I know Dr. Ruggles and I have been trying to get approved by the city. It's a voluntary program that basically covers the water lines and sewer lines, sanitary lines from the curb to the house, or there's also a program for interior plumbing inside the house. So it's all voluntary. So I'm glad to move this project forward. Roll call.
Mayor, question before we go
Go
there.
ahead, Doc. Go ahead, Mr. Brown.
How are the residents going to find out about it? Will it be on the web, or we're going to get it in our water bill?
You will get a letter that's on my letterhead from me to the residents from Utility Line Services.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, they're responsible for all marketing.
Okay.
Good question.
Okay. Mr. I'm sorry. We
Roll
ready
call.
for a vote?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Volcano?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Okay, is there any business to come before City Council from any of the council members before I open up to the public?
Nope.
Okay, for anybody from the public who would like to address City Council on any item concerning the city, any comments, questions, or concern, please raise your hand and we'll bring you into the room to speak. When you're identified, please, we need your name and address. I see no hands raised, Mr. Campos. So I'll accept a motion for adjournment. If there's no other business.
Move.
Well, there's two questions that are unanswered.
Which one are they?
From a gentleman named Edward.
Okay. I didn't look at the question. I'm sorry. Yeah, he was on last night's call.
Street and.
So he's looking at Warren Street, and we'll get that. I'll report that again. I don't know why that wasn't taken care of today, but yeah, you put that in the chat box last night about Warren Street. As you know, it's one of the most difficult streets as we have. Just so much snow, but they should be over there. I'll make sure they get there tomorrow. Any other comments or questions? Thank you, Mr. Milan. Anyone else? Mr. Campos, if you look at that and talk to Mr. Hopkins, I'd appreciate it.
Yep, I got a note into him already.
Okay, thanks. Okay, motion to adjourn,
Move.
moved and seconded by Brown. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. O'Connell,
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles,
Aye.
Mrs. Volcano,
Aye.
Mayor Pianto,
Aye.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger,
Aye.
and Mr. Milan.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, members of the public. Thank you for coming online. You all stay safe and have a good day. Watch the roads tomorrow
You
morning.
too.
Thank you. Good
too.
night.
Good night.
Good night.